The other thing we talked about last week was how we currently raise money. And you all made a great list of all of the things that we currently do to raise money.
Direct mail, phone-a-thons, where the students are calling people, auctions, promo events monthly, $25 touchdown, which I thought was so cool. And then for football season, and $25 during basketball season for 3-point. You can sponsor that. Barbecue, $5
cover charge,
and
yeah.
That's a donation. Oh, donation of food.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry.
Each building, golf outing, payroll deduct, employee, and that was state, wasn't it? That they will, Anthony, I think it was, will now be. One gift. Yeah. Memorial funds, dollars for scholars pre-registration packet, putting the information in pre-registration. Public relations, senior scholarship information, high-beat 3% sales for the weekend, business tables, and partnering with the Lions Club. Okay. Now, I don't know if they'll still do it. When I was chair of dollars for scholars at Johnston, Burger King was another one, whole weekend thing, 3% of all their sales.
We're going to dive into fundraising. Your favorite subject. You know, last week you heard it is my favorite subject. I have been doing fundraising now for a couple of decades. Love the topic, love the subject, love to ask people for money, and found out last week that you are all the same way, right? You guys love asking people for money. No? Okay. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about easing that fear. We talked about last week, and I want to do it again. What are the words that come to mind when you think of fundraising? Begging. Anybody get a pit in their stomach? We talked about that a little bit.
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure. I have to ask my friends. I have to ask these people maybe I don't know. We want to make sure, and that's why we talked a lot last week about the elevator speech. Because if you are comfortable talking about this organization, you are raising money. You can raise money. Okay? Telling the story is your #1 job as a volunteer, as a board member. If you tell the story effectively, asking people for money is just a part of it, and it will just flow. All right, so we're going to talk about traditional fundraising. And what does that look like? Because a lot of you do lots of events. We talked last week, as we did earlier, about the fundraising pyramid, annual major plan gifts. Talked about the donor bill of rights. We talked about why do we do annual giving, okay? And annual giving, we wanted to equate annual giving to public relations. It's building our base of donors. It's acquiring donors. If you build that base, folks are going to be engaged in your organization, and they'll be thinking of you for major gifts and for planned gifts. We also talked a little bit about the model for annual giving. And that's what these scribbles are up here. We talked about on a cyclical basis that you would create a model for giving. And that would encompass basically 4 appeals during the year with 4 different messages. Okay, the first one is your biggest, your best, your boldest appeal. It goes to everybody. Your second one comes a little bit later toward the end of the year with the tax deduction message. Third one is our spring, and fourth one is getting closer to the end of the fiscal year. We talked about that not all of these will be direct mail. Some of them might be email. Some of them might be newsletters. Some of them might be some other type of communication. But that the idea is that we communicate with our prospects and with our pool 4 times a year. Some of you do phoning. So we also talked about where phoning might fit. Okay, that's traditional annual giving. Building the pipeline. We talked about segmenting donors, moving donors to the next level. And we talked about doing that by making sure that we were asking people for a specific amount once they were in our pipeline. One way we might want to do that, we talked about, was creating giving clubs. So you may have folks that are currently giving at certain levels, and we decided these guys were our friends, and these are our best friends, and these are our best friends. And we have some donor that's given us $100 for a long time. It's time we ask him to move. And we may ask him to move by asking him simply to become a best friend. It's a softer approach than saying, I want you to now give $500. I think I gave you the example when I worked for that medium institution where we asked everybody for the first time to move. One gentleman had given $25 for 15 years. He had sent his donation when we sent the appeal. It crossed in the mail. He sent $225 because we asked him to become a best friend. When I called and said, thank you, he said, well, you asked. That's why I gave. Okay, he'd already sent 25. We asked him for $250. He made up the difference. He'd been giving $25 for 15 years. Great way then for me to continue the conversation. We go out for coffee. He moved up the pyramid. He became a major donor and a planned gift donor to that organization. He wasn't the only one. Happens over and over and over. That's why we do it over and over and over. Last week I mentioned also there's an art and a science to fundraising. Art is the relationships we build, and the science is some of the things that I'm teaching tonight. We also talked about prospects, new people in our pool, and how many times sometimes it takes before they actually respond to us. And a lot of times this is difficult because sometimes it takes 3 or 4 times. And I think when you think about the mail that you get too, we often want to take people out of our list. And sometimes we take them off a little too soon. So realize that it takes sometimes 3 or 4 times before people respond.